So let's talk then about the competition within this market.
Acronis Cyber Cloud primarily is addressing the managed service provider market. We need local presence, we need local data center, but local is a broad term in the digital world. It's not necessarily confined by physical country borders or geographic borders. But what's the difference between accessing this data center from Cape Town to accessing it from Harare?
Hello and welcome to ITWeb's online channel. My name is Sibahle Malinga and we're right here at the Four Seasons Hotel in Westcliff, Johannesburg, where Acronis is launching their new data center, which happens to be their very first data center in South Africa and on the African continent. I'm now joined by Peter French, who is the GM for Acronis Middle East and Africa, and he's here to tell us all about the vision behind this data center. Peter, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to our show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So Peter, Acronis officially opens its very first data center in South Africa today. Tell us about the aims and objectives of this data center.
So the data center is indeed a huge milestone for us on the continent and in the country, because the array of services and solutions that we offer in cyber protection for our partners and for the channel ecosystem are heavily dependent on access to this data that we are protecting. And previously, the data had to cross borders internationally. There's latency, there's access time, there's speed or performance issues that come with being far away from that actual source, from the data. So in order to bring our cyber protection offering and to really offer it in its entirety to the market, we need local presence. We need a local data center.
So tell us about the services as well as the offerings that you provide to African companies and why the need for this data center in relation to what you offer.
So Acronis is a cyber protection software company. We create solutions that we sell through the channel, through the IT channel, to protect, secure, and manage your digital workloads, your digital system, like the lifeblood of your business or your personal data as well. Your most valued assets that we transact with in this rapidly digitizing world that we're in. We are a company that offers you peace of mind with our solutions. Effectively, we say we are a cyber protection company because this encompasses data protection, which is your traditional backup, your retention of your old data, and cyber security, which is protection against bad actors and malware and these numerous threats that you will read of today for ransomware and hacks and attacks that companies face.
And of course, in light of COVID-19, we've seen an acceleration in cyber attacks against organizations of all sectors. So how does this data center aim to protect not just South African companies from cyber threats, but also companies across the continent?
Well, that's a great question because it is indeed focused on being local, but local is a broad term in the digital world. It's not necessarily confined by physical country borders or geographic borders. Sure, legislation may dictate certain data should reside within geographic borders, but what's the difference between accessing this data center from Cape Town to accessing it from Harare, or the actual round trip time, the experience, the browsability? This is irrelevant. It's not about the country anymore, but about the physical point of presence and how far we are or how much internet the system must traverse in order for me to access that. And being physically on the continent means we finally have coverage in high performant, low latency means.
So Peter, Acronis is really on top of a huge project because you're not just setting up data centers on the African continent. The broader vision is to set up these data centers across the globe, and the target at the moment is 111. So, how much investment has gone into that, and why such a large number?
So, in terms of how much investment, I don't have the exact dollar value, but what I can say is this: if you read in the news of what's going on with our company, with Acronis, and the massive investment and the hundreds of millions of dollars that are being put into our expansion and into our drive and vision to be a global company with local presence, and as referenced earlier, part of the core services that we offer require a sense of, or a component of being immediately present, physically, or even, virtually local at a few seconds away, or a few split seconds away from the end user accessing their data. So our global vision is to lead the way in cyber protection. And part of this vision requires that we are local in each of the regions where we plan to roll out our data centers. As you mentioned, 111, of which we already have 36 rolled out.
That's really massive. So let's talk then about the competition within this market. We're seeing a lot of hyperscalers setting up presence in South Africa, on the African continent, and among those are Azure. We've seen AWS, we have seen Terracos, we have seen Dimension Data. These are just to name just a few. So we're seeing a hype of activity in the data center market, not just in South Africa, but across the continent. So what sets Acronis data centers apart from what is already in existence?
In that, it's important to understand what our typical client is. And it's not our only client, but our Cyber Protect solution, our Acronis Cyber Cloud, primarily is addressing the managed service provider market. And with these managed service providers, they in turn are leveraging the hyperscalers and other data centers to offer cloud services, virtual systems, whatever it might be, remote work solutions. We offer these partners a solution that they can secure their offerings with and take on and market on and sell in turn to their customers.
So this means you partner with managed service providers as well as other vendors.
Absolutely, yeah.
Any chances of you partnering with other security companies as well?
So that's an interesting one. I suppose in our current rate of growth and where we are aiming towards, we want to be the leader in that. So we do coexist with them very well, and through our numerous integrations we have with our cyber platform, we speak to various other security products via our APIs to parse information and enforce certain security measures. But effectively, we're not looking to partner with other vendors in that way. We are looking to perhaps acquire other vendors for their technology to incorporate it into ours, and in some instances, leverage existing known technologies or known protection vectors and integrate that into our stack and our solution offering.
That sounds really strategic. Is there anything that you'd like to add that you feel may be important and you're leaving out, especially as far as your broader vision is concerned?
Well, I think it's important to mention that this data explosion that we're seeing and this cyber threat explosion and this massive cyber warfare that's going on globally is a constant threat to your personal data, your company data. As petty as it may seem, people can find ways to use it against you. And ultimately, their goal is to extract value from you, to hold you ransom for your hard-earned money. So I think in closing, it's just to frame that this is a scary space. It is quite alarming how bad people can be, virtually and physically, but virtually is the focus here.
Absolutely.
And what we are aiming to do is really take away the fear. We don't want to drive with fear tactics to make people buy protection solutions. We want to instill confidence in people that if they're partnering with us and if they're leveraging our solutions, they have that peace of mind that should this new threat arise or should there be a new attack on their data is indeed still intact and safe, and they have another copy of it, they have a secure copy of it. And, in the event of an attack, they can get back up and running very quickly and easily.
And of course, we've seen a lot of companies in South Africa, on the continent, and just across the globe being victims of such cyber attacks at such a costly rate. And it's really sad when it's something that can be prevented just with the right security assistance and the right systems and the right infrastructure. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure chatting to you, Peter.
Thank you too. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.